Hello guys, and welcome back to the Old Dove YouTube channel. Now today's video is all about this little beauty. Today I'm going to formally introduce to you the car you've seen on the channel before, my 1979 bagged Volkswagen Brasilia. Roll the VT. So then, let's discuss how I managed to pick up this car. So, roll back a year now, I was sitting on a forum online and this particular car came up for sale. However, little did I know the forum was from 2016, so the ship had long sailed. But I was intrigued, I wanted to find out more, so I searched for this car on Facebook. Little did I know it was on there for sale, and I couldn't believe it. My luck was in that day for sure. Now, I'd never seen one of these cars before. The only car I've seen of this is John from HR Auto Works, and now that I hadn't actually seen in person, I just saw it on Instagram. So, light bulb moment. I have always wanted to be sponsored by Auto Finesse. For the last 8-9 years I've been using their products. Even when I was in college I used to use the Auto Finesse products. Now, a lot of you are going to turn your head up at this and think, did you really buy a car to get sponsored? Well, the answer is yes. Yes, I did. So, I thought I'd buy the car, I'd use it as a promotional tool for Auto Finesse, get myself sponsored, and then see where things took us. So, anyway, going back to how I bought the car. Messaged this guy on Facebook, negotiated a price, managed to get a price that we were both happy with. Now, this is a 1979 air-cooled 1600 Volkswagen engine. Now, just for some context, the car was in Manchester. Now, that's a good 5 hours away from me, probably about 200 miles. I thought, no way in hell am I driving all the way to Manchester to then drive home in this. So, I got searching, found someone who would recover the car for me. So I had a guy called Lewis. He went to Manchester, went and had a look around the car, and when he was there, I transferred the guy the money when it was secured on Lewis's recovery truck, and then once it was secure, transferred him the money, and then the next day or 5 hours later, I think, he turned up to my house with it on my driveway. Now, my initial reaction was, what have I bought? Pictures and videos never do any car justice. You never know what condition it actually is, even though it's a picture that looks really nice. So, walked around the car, the paintwork was nowhere near as nice as I thought it was, and I just thought, I bought a pile of rubbish. So then, what have I actually done to the car since I've had it? Because as you can tell, it isn't standard in the slightest. Now, when I purchased this car, it was already modified and sitting pretty low to the ground. But let's start with my first challenge when I bought this car. So, the interior itself was pretty rusty, the seats were manky, the carpet was manky, so I thought I'd try my best to revitalise the interior to make it somewhere nice you'd want to sit and drive. So, the carpet came out, the seats came out, and I set about bare metaling the interior of the car, repainting it all and freshening it up. I used the old carpet as a template to cut fresh carpet to reinstall that. Now I took that task on myself. I thought, how hard is it going to be? Well, it was pretty challenging. So I recarpeted the interior. I had the seats reupholstered in a two-tone leather and tweed, which set the car off lovely. My next challenge was going to be to make a parcel shelf in the back where I could exhibit and showcase Auto Finesse products and range in the back for when I'm at car shows, to obviously show off that publicity, because like I said earlier, I bought this car to get myself sponsored by Auto Finesse. Made the parcel shelf, that was great, got that done, interior was squared away. Now, the next challenge was to get this car bagged. Now, I have no idea what to do when it comes to this sort of stuff. I'm not a mechanic. I work for the emergency services, so I had a vague idea of what to do, but I was in the deep end. So I ordered an Eva Resto air suspension kit. Now, that was a Beetle kit from the same sort of year, because I was under the impression that would fit. When the kit arrived, I tried to install the kit, but it was not going to fit by any way, shape or form. So I further cut up the tubs inside the front, which were already installed, to try and get some more clearance to get the front beam to fit in this car. It's got a 4-inch narrow beam up the front, but the strut towers were slightly different to the old ones. So that caused me an absolute headache to get that to fit. I built up the whole front of this car, got all the airlines put in, the tank, the management, everything sorted, done myself, but then called it quits when it come to doing the rear. So I sent the car back to Eva Resto for Max to finish off the rear suspension kit on this car, because it was never going to be an easy task. I believe the rear is a carbon gear kit, which Max had to modify himself to get it to fit. So the actual air suspension system on this car is a one-off design for it. Now, so it's an Eva Resto kit with airlift 3P management. The idea of getting the car bagged was, believe it or not, although I've trailered this car everywhere this year to car shows, the idea was to get it roadworthy and allow you to have best of both worlds. Sitting on its backside and then at a sensible height to drive it to anywhere you want to drive it to. Roll on a year then, this is where we currently are. It looks really good. There's still lots of things left to do with the car. However, my wallet doesn't stretch. So I still need to get the engine overhauled. I'd like to strip that out, paint it all up really nice, stick it back in there, make a nice thing of it. I'm going to relocate all the air setup to the back, make a nice little boot build. I'd like to repaint it, but I can't see that happening. I'd also like to change the wheels, get something a bit nicer on there. Maybe something split, polished, something like that. And I'd also like to tar up under the engine, or the front boot, front engine bay, whatever you want to call it, and just generally make this car a little bit nicer. Now, like with any project car, they're never finished by any means, no way, shape or form. So this car is hopefully going to stay on the channel for a little while, and you guys are going to see some more of the progress. If you'd like to see more of this car and follow more on the build thread, you can check out my Instagram, Ollie. That is where it all started. That is where my channel and my journey began. Now, one of the things about this car that really sells it to me is how quirky and individual it really is. You will never see another one of these at a car show. I haven't this year, so I think for that reason it is a massive tick in the box for me, because at the end of the day everyone wants to stand out. Now, the car is so quirky, the quirkiness of the car just allows you to get away with anything. Now, for example, I lost one of the black bumper trims. Now, I couldn't find a replacement anywhere for it. So I thought, fear not, I'm going to make my own one, which is what I did. Now, any other car, if you'd made a aftermarket piece of bodywork trim out of a bit of old pallet wood and stuck it on the car, people would laugh at you. But with this, you just get away with it. Anything goes on these rustic old cars. Now, I think that itself is absolutely brilliant. You join me now in the front boot of the Brasilia. So, under here is where the magic happens. We've got the airlift compressor, airlift management, and then the tank is hidden underneath on a wooden shelf. But one thing I forgot to mention, when bagging this car, I had to cut out the front tubs, like I said, to get extra access for the beam to go in. Now, the fuel tank for this car sits in the front, in the same recess between the two front tubs. Now, because I'd cut them out and welded extra sections in there to allow for clearance for the beam to fit, I then took out the clearance that the tank needed for that to fit. So I then had to modify the fuel tank to get that sitting perfectly in the middle there. Now, that is just an example of how things have gone on this build. Unfortunately guys, that now draws us to a close on this introduction video. Now, if you feel like you're left wanting more, head over to our Instagram, oldub_, where there is bagfuls of this to be seen on there. Now, to any companies out there thinking that this car can get them some good publicity, you're probably thinking right. Now, we're up for working with any companies that approach us if we feel like it's beneficial to us. So if you're up for some collaborative working, drop us a DM on Instagram and we'll be sure to get in contact. Now, without further ado, like always, please hit the like button, click the bell icon, and most importantly, click the subscribe button. It's free and it helps us out. So until next time, peace out.